Alright, before we start, I really have to explain what the challenge actually is. If you've been following social media of any kind, you might have seen this template being shown around. Now, given that I have done a lot of fan art in the past, I felt like just doing 6 fan art of characters would not be much of a challenge to me. I decided that I will be adding one more stipulation to this challenge, and it is that I must do these 6 characters in 6 different styles. Now, of course, there's no perfect way of emulating somebody else's style, so I'll be giving my own little takes on what I will be influenced by for each of these 6 characters. Without further ado, let me show you the process for the first one. If anybody grew up on the old school Castlevania games, you would have seen Ayami Kojima's work for the games and how much it influenced the look of Castlevania. So it would be very appropriate for me to try to bring that style to a character of the new Netflix Castlevania. I thought of doing this the moment I read the name Sypha from a suggestion on my social media. Now, if you've seen Ayami Kojima's work, the most telling thing about the way she paints and draws is to capture a really haunting feeling with her figures. There is no doubt that even in my regular work that I am massively influenced by her artwork. So this one was probably one of the easier ones to create. Nonetheless, it really just worked, despite the fact that the Netflix Castlevania is definitely a lot more cartoony than her illustrations. Now, given that I do not have the luxury of a lot of time to work on an illustration, I don't really have the time to capture all the details that Ayami really likes putting in her illustrations. So I opted to capture the glowing feeling of her figures and the way she draws faces more than the actual details themselves. Now, of course, because I have my own little style, and it's pretty much impossible to try to emulate somebody else's work as if this is like their signature, I opted to just put in my own take of how I would render her style of work. So my distinct brushstrokey, very rough style is being used here, unlike what Ayami Kojima does. So hopefully that you like it anyways, even if it's not a picture-perfect emulation. I find that Ayami's style has a lot to learn from, mostly because I always love how different artists have different takes on realism as well as the anime hybrid look. When we think animation and anime, we think a lot in terms of very colorful stuff. That's not to say that Ayami doesn't use a lot of colors, because she certainly does, but there are some works where the illustration is very monochromatic, but it still seems to work. For me, because I didn't want to spend too much time since I have 5 other artwork to create, I opted for the monochromatic palette so that there's a lot less to think about. But because Ayami's work is very value-centric, having less colors doesn't take away from her work. It's gonna make her figures glow no matter what, and the colors are sort of like the icing on the cake. So I don't want to drag it on too much longer. I hope you enjoy the rest of the video, and if you like this, feel free to subscribe to my YouTube here and check out my other social media as well, some of which are in my description below. Anyways, thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.